Have you ever found yourself just completely lost in your own story?
Oh, absolutely.
You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're like at a dinner party or maybe just grabbing coffee with a coworker.
Right.
And you're trying to tell them about something incredibly simple that happened at the grocery store. But suddenly, you are 5 minutes into diagramming the chaotic layout of the parking lot.
Yeah, drawing a mental map.
Exactly. And you've introduced 3 characters who have absolutely no bearing on the plot. And you can actively see your audience's eyes just glazing over.
What's the worst?
You're rambling, and you just can't figure out how to stop.
It is a universally humbling human experience. I mean, we all do it. We get so bogged down in providing context and, unnecessary exposition that we completely lose the actual narrative thread.
Yeah.
The listener just stops caring because we've buried the lead under, a mountain of trivia.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is going to be incredibly refreshing. We are looking at a document that, on its surface, is very, very humble. Super humble. It's a curriculum designed for A1 and A2 beginner English learners. And the specific topic of the lesson plan is just how to tell simple stories in English.
And just to be clear right up front, we are not looking at this text to, learn basic English grammar.
Right. Oh.
We're analyzing it as an incredibly insightful sociological document. Because in order to teach an absolute beginner how to construct a narrative from scratch, the curriculum authors had to violently strip storytelling down to its absolute bare essentials.
Yeah, they had to figure out what humans actually need to connect.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to deconstruct this curriculum and extract the universal architecture of a good story. By looking at the scaffolding provided to someone who barely speaks the language, we're going to uncover the core mechanics of human communication.
Which is huge.
And honestly, it's a masterclass that most native-speaking adults desperately need.
It really is. I mean, the curriculum establishes its philosophy right away in the core message section. It states point blank that a good, simple story only requires 3 things.
Just 3.
Yeah. What happened, a few details, and how you felt. That's the entire formula.
Okay, let's unpack this scaffolding. The first section of the curriculum focuses entirely on anchoring the listener in time and space. So the very first tool they give a learner, item number 1, is the simple phrase, yesterday I.
Right.
And the usage notes are super strict here. It tells the learner that this is exclusively for a story that happened exactly 1 day before today.
Yeah, they give the example, yesterday I visited my friend.
Simple.
And then they provide a mini dialogue to show it in action. Like person A says, when did you go? And person B says, yesterday I visited my friend.
It's just immediate grounding.
Exactly. And then for item 2, it expands the toolkit slightly with last weekend I.
Oh, right.
And the usage note here says you can swap in last night or last year or last month. Their example is last weekend I went to the park.
And the dialogue for that one?
Person A says, what did you do on Saturday? And person B replies, last weekend I went to the park.
Okay, so what's fascinating from a psychological perspective is why the curriculum insists on these temporal markers before anything else.
Right. Why time first?
Because the human brain craves a timeline. If you just start talking about an event without placing it in time, the listener's brain is secretly spending cognitive energy trying to figure out, when this actually occurred.
It's cognitive friction.
Yes. We do this as adults all the time. We jump right into the middle of a thought.
Totally.
But the curriculum forces the beginner to clear that friction immediately. Yesterday, I visited my friend. Boom, the timeline is set.
Yeah, and then for item 3, it gives them sequence words. First, then after that, finally.
Those sequencing words are so vital.
The curriculum explicitly notes that they prevent messy stories.
I love that word, messy.
Right. The example they provide is just a basic school routine. First, I woke up. Then I had breakfast. After that, I went to school. Finally, I came home.
It builds a straight, unmistakable path. And the mini dialogue is just A, asking, how was your morning? And B, giving that exact step-by-step sequence.
Exactly. And then the final piece of this foundational stage, item 4, is setting the scene with the phrase, it was.
It was a beautiful day.
Well, it was fun. The usage note here is just the basic rule of using was for singular and were for plural to establish a baseline reality.
Right. And the dialogue is A, asking, how was the weather? And B, saying, it was sunny.
Exactly.
But let me push back on this for a second.
Okay.
When we look at this rigid structure, starting with yesterday, sequencing with first and then, are these just training wheels for beginners?
What do you mean?
Because it feels a little robotic. Do the best adult storytellers eventually abandon this?
Actually, the exact opposite is true.
Really?
Yeah, the best communicators heavily rely on this structural scaffolding. They just disguise it better. Yeah. Think about a great stand-up comedian or like a highly paid trial lawyer giving an opening statement.
Oh, sure.
Oh, they never jump around in time unnecessarily. They establish the when and the where in their very first sentence, so the audience's brain can settle in, relax, and focus entirely on the action. It's the amateurs who try to tell nonlinear stories and end up confusing everyone.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we try to be like Christopher Nolan telling a story about a trip to Target.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't work. So, okay, we've poured the concrete, we have our timeline, but time is just a blank canvas. To actually pull the listener in, something has to happen.
Yes. The story needs an engine. And in this curriculum, the engine consists of 5 basic past tense verbs.
Let's look at the specific actions the authors chose to highlight.
Okay, item 5 is I visited, meaning you went to see a person or place.
Right. And it's a regular verb, so the usage note just gives the simple rule of adding ed to the end.
Yeah, the example is I visited my grandmother. And the dialogue is A saying, who did you see? And B saying, I visited my grandmother.
Oh, the item 6 is I watched.
Right, and the usage note says this is usually applied to TV, movies, or games.
The example is I watched a funny movie.
And the dialogue is A asking, what did you do last night? B replies, I watched a movie.
So simple. But what really caught my eye were the usage notes for the irregular verbs they introduced next. Item 7, I went, and item 8, I saw.
Oh, yes. The warnings.
The curriculum practically slaps warning labels on these. It strictly warns the learner, do not say I goed, say I went.
Yeah, their example is, I went to a cafe, with a dialogue where A asks, where did you go? And B says, I went to a cafe.
And for item 8, I saw, the explicit warning is do not say I seed, say I saw.
Which has the supermarket example right. I saw my friend at the supermarket.
Yep, and the dialogue is who did you see? I saw my friend. But that specific warning is such a brilliant glimpse into the algorithmic nature of the human brain.
How so?
Well, when a learner or even a young child figures out the ED rule for past tense, their brain naturally wants to optimize. It creates a universal algorithm. Just add ED to everything.
Right. Good. Seed.
Exactly. The curriculum has to manually override that human instinct to find a shortcut.
It's fighting our brain's desire for efficiency.
Yeah. And then the final engine verb they provide, item 9, is I had.
Oh, this one is so versatile.
The text notes how incredibly broad this is for storytelling. You can mean eat, drink, own, or experience. You had breakfast, you had coffee, you had a problem, you had fun.
The example is, I had lunch with my family. And the dialogue is A asking, what did you do? And B saying, I had a great time.
What's fascinating here is the curation of these 5 verbs.
Right.
Out of the thousands of words in the English language, the curriculum doesn't choose complex, abstract concepts. It chooses visited, watched, went, saw, and had.
Yeah, if you look closely, those are the verbs of consuming, traveling, and observing. The authors intuitively understood that these are the universal actions that define our daily lives. They are the engines of the human experience.
Okay, so we have the time and we have the engine. But an engine running in a void isn't very interesting.
No, it needs a stage.
Exactly. We need details.
We do, but here is where the text drops one of its most crucial pieces of advice. It gives a strict warning, do not add too many details. 1 or 2 details are enough.
I want to pause on that because it feels counterintuitive.
Really?
Yeah. Don't details make a story immersive? Like, if I'm reading a Stephen King novel, I want him to spend 2 pages describing the creeping fog and the exact rust on a car door. Why is the curriculum telling us to actively withhold detail?
Because verbal storytelling is fundamentally different from reading a novel.
Okay, how?
When you read a book, you control the pace. If a description is dense, you can slow down or reread it.
True.
But in verbal communication, the speaker controls the pace. Every unnecessary detail you add increases the listener's cognitive load.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you describe the exact layout of the room, what everyone was wearing and the background music, the listener's brain gets exhausted trying to render all that information in real time. They drop the narrative thread.
Which perfectly explains the grocery store parking lot rambler we talked about at the beginning.
Exactly.
So how does the curriculum handle world building?
It limits the learner to 4 highly specific scene-setting questions.
Okay, let's go through them. Item 10.
Item 10 is, where did it happen? Because giving a place immediately gives the mind a container. The example is, it happened at school.
And the dialogue.
A asks, where were you? And B says, I was at the train station.
Okay. Item 11 is who was there? Did you go with your sister or your best friend?
Yeah, the usage note reminds them to use was or were correctly here. The example is, my sister was there. And the dialogue is, who were you with? I was with my best friend.
Simple. Then item 12 is atmosphere. What was the weather like?
The text notes that saying it was sunny and warm or it was cold and windy makes a short story feel instantly more real.
The example is, it was sunny and warm, and the dialogue is A, asking about the weather, and B, saying it was cold and windy.
Exactly. And fourth, item 13, what did you see?
They suggest just a single visual detail.
All right, the example is, I saw colorful lights. And the dialogue is A, asking, what did you see at the festival? And B, replying, I saw music, food, and happy people.
I love this approach. It is exactly like a minimalist stage play.
Yes.
You don't need to build an entire elaborate set. You just give the audience a single colored spotlight, which is the weather, and a single prop, which is what you saw. And the magic is the listener's brain does the heavy lifting. It fills in the rest of the room for you.
Less is genuinely more. The brain fills in the gaps if you give it the right cues. But even with a pristine timeline, universal actions, and a beautifully minimalist stage, we are still missing the most important ingredient of human communication.
The human connection.
Exactly.
The reason the listener should actually care. Which brings us to the section on adding emotion.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, emotion is the bridge between the speaker and the listener. Without an emotion word, you are essentially just reading an itinerary or a schedule.
Right, it's sterile.
Introducing the phrase, I felt, tells the listener how they're supposed to react to the information you just gave them.
And the curriculum breaks this down into incredibly specific emotional tools.
Starting with item 14, I felt.
Right. The example is, I felt happy because I saw my friend. And the dialogue is, how did you feel? I felt really tired.
And then it introduces item 15, I was excited.
The usage note for this one clarifies that it's perfectly deployed for good events, trips, or new experiences.
Yeah, the example is, I was excited because it was my first time on a plane.
And the dialogue is, were you excited for the trip? Yes, I was very excited.
Then we have item 16, I was nervous.
This usage note is interesting. It says, this is for tests, travel, or meeting new people. Basically things where the outcome is uncertain.
The example is, I was nervous before my English presentation. And the dialogue has A asking, how did you feel before the test? B says, I was a little nervous.
And then it gives us item 17, I was surprised.
I found the note on surprised fascinating because it explicitly tells the learner that surprise can be positive, negative, or neutral.
Right. You can be surprised by a birthday cake or surprised by a flat tire.
The example is, I was surprised when my friends gave me a cake. And the dialogue is, were you surprised? Yes, I had no idea.
From a narrative standpoint, surprised is a powerhouse word. It instantly signals to the listener that a pattern was broken. And human brains love broken patterns.
Exactly. It creates an instant hook. And the final tool in this emotional toolkit, item 18, is the phrase, it made me feel.
Oh, this one is brilliant for A2 learners.
Why is that?
Because it draws a direct line of causality. The example is, the music made me feel happy.
Yeah, or as the dialogue shows, A asks, how did the movie make you feel? And B says, it made me feel sad, but hopeful.
It's the ultimate empathy engine. It gives the listener explicit permission to share the impact of the story with you.
This makes so much sense when you think about adult communication, especially in corporate settings.
Oh, totally.
People will stand up in a meeting and recite 20 slides of data, just raw, sterile facts.
And the audience is asleep.
Right. But if that presenter just paused and said, when I saw this data, it made me feel incredibly nervous for our Q3 goals. Instantly, the room wakes up. It becomes a narrative.
You've suddenly given the facts stakes. The emotion is the stakes.
Yes.
So we have the theory, time, action, details, emotion. But this curriculum is highly practical. It ends by forcing the learner to put it all together.
Yeah. Item 19 introduces a concept called the 3 parts.
Beginning, middle, and end.
Right. The example synthesizes it perfectly. I went to the beach. It was sunny and I swam. I felt happy.
And the dialogue just reinforces it. A says, tell me a story. B gives those 3 parts.
But then item 20 is where the magic happens. Make it better.
The exercise here is called Make a Simple Sentence Better. The text provides flat, boring sentences and demands the learner inject the formula, add when, where, one detail, and how you felt.
The transformation is staggering.
Let's look at the first one. The textbook shows a starting sentence. I went to a restaurant.
It is factually true, but completely devoid of life.
But when the formula is applied, it becomes, last night I went to a small restaurant with my family, the food was delicious, and I felt happy.
In 2 sentences, you have a complete 3D mental image.
Exactly. And the dialogue for this item is just A, saying, that's a good story, and B, saying, thanks, I added more details.
They run through 5 practice scenarios that are incredibly relatable.
Let's read through them. Take the first practice scenario, the park. The simple sentence is, I walked in the park.
But the better version is, yesterday I walked in the quiet park, I saw tall trees, and I felt relaxed.
Beautiful. The second scenario is the movie. Simple sentence, I watched a movie.
And the better version, last night I watched a funny movie at home. I laughed a lot, and I felt happy.
Okay, the third scenario, a friend at the cafe. Simple, I met my friend.
Better. Last weekend I met my friend at a busy cafe. We had great coffee, and I was really excited to see her.
Wow. The fourth one is the phone problem. The simple sentence is just, I had a problem. That can mean anything.
Right. But applying the formula turns it into, yesterday morning, I had a problem with my phone. I was nervous, but my brother helped me.
It introduces conflict, an emotional reaction, and a resolution. It's a tiny, perfect cinematic universe.
It really is.
And the final practice scenario, the family visit. Simple, I visited my family.
Better. Last month, I visited my family in the city. It was loud and crowded, but it made me feel so loved.
It really highlights how these micro struggles and joys, phones breaking, visiting family, getting coffee with a friend, are the actual fabric of our lives.
Absolutely.
And here is where the curriculum delivers its final masterstroke. It provides a model story to demonstrate what a cohesive narrative looks like when every single rule is followed.
I love this part.
I'm going to read this exactly as the text presents it, because the rhythm of it is actually quite beautiful. I'll read it slowly.
Go for it.
Last weekend, I went to the park with my friend. It was sunny and warm. First, we walked near the lake. Then, we had coffee. After that, we saw a small concert. I felt happy and relaxed. It was a simple day, but it was special.
Wow. It is a perfectly constructed narrative arc.
That final line actually stopped me in my tracks. It was a simple day, but it was special.
Yeah.
It absolutely proves that a story does not need high drama. You don't need car chases, wild plot twists, or explosive conflict to hold someone's attention.
No, you don't.
You just need clear structure, an emotional anchor, and heart.
Exactly. You know, the document includes a final recap of the language, and it's really worth summarizing the architecture we just spent the last few minutes building.
Let's hear it.
So we have our 17 core items, the time markers establishing the foundation, yesterday I, last weekend I, and the sequence of first, then after that, finally.
Right.
We have our stage. It was, where did it happen, who was there, and what was the weather like?
We have the universal engines of action, visited, watched, went, saw, had, and what did you see?
And we have the emotional bridge that makes it matter. I felt excited, nervous, surprised, and it made me feel.
That's the whole toolkit.
The document actually finishes with a speaking task for the learner, asking them to tell a short story about yesterday using those exact 4 parts: when, where, what happened, and how you felt.
And I want to pass that exact same call to action over to you listening right now. Try to tell a story about yesterday using only when it happened, where you were, what happened, and how you felt.
It sounds ridiculously easy, but sticking strictly to those constraints without rambling takes intense discipline.
We really do lose the plot because we somehow convince ourselves that more words equal a better story.
Yeah, we really do.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over. As adults, we constantly overcomplicate our communication.
Oh, constantly.
We fill our emails with jargon, we go off on long tangents in conversations, and we subject our colleagues to massive info dumps, hoping that if we just throw enough details at them, they'll care.
But they don't.
No. What if we forced ourselves to apply the strict A1-A2 beginner framework in our daily lives? If we stripped away all the noise, the extra characters, and the unnecessary exposition and just stated clearly what happened, who was there, and how it made us feel, would we actually connect with each other more deeply?
I think we would.
Something to think about the next time you find yourself rambling in the grocery store parking lot. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.